What's good, guys? Today I'm bringing you a story that not a lot of people know, but if you know, you know. This is a story about my favorite artist. This dude is definitely a legend. He's one of a kind, and there's never gonna be one of him again in the music industry. This man came from nothing. He was born in the middle of music. He was born in La Sierra of Mexico. He came from poverty, and he is now one of the biggest artists in the regional Mexican scene. A man who refused to disappear. A man who refused to let time wash him away. This is the story of José Darey Castro, the voice, the heart, and the soul of Los Dareyes de la Sierra. A story of humble beginnings, gunshots, and reinvention. The story of how a musician from Sonora came from nothing and is now stronger than ever. A man who is just like wine. Instead of going bad, he gets better throughout the time. And I will say he's a Mexican Benjamin Button, because throughout the years he gets younger and younger. I don't know why. So let's get right into the video. Most of the information gathered for this video was thanks to a podcast of Darey and La Mole, a comedian from Mexico. Darey Castro was born in Navojoa, Sonora, a small city not popular at all. However, Darey didn't need to live in a big city. He had his uncles that helped him shape his mind and make him decide that music was the path. His uncles had a group called Sombra Norteña, and that was important because Darey seen music through first hand and not through YouTube or trends. He was living through it. Darey says that the music he grew up listening also helped him shape his mind, and that was thanks to his dad. His dad used to listen to groups like Laberinto and Las Jilguerillas, groups that focus on emotion, storytelling, pain, and soul, not just hits. As Darey is making moves and getting his sound together, getting a group together, and he finally manages to put it all together around 1998. And that's when his official career was actually launched with a group that he named Alteños de la Sierra. So as he's performing with Alteños de la Sierra, he becomes friends with another legend, Valentin Elizalde. Two young men at the same time with the same hunger and in the same streets. Valentin was studying at the University of Sonora, where Darey says that school was 1 kilometer away from his house, and that's where he found Valentin. Two future legends crossing paths before the world even knew their names. But they had different visions. Valentin wanted to be a popular singer and sing for multitudes, and Darey just wanted to be local. He just wanted to get his money. After years of grinding, around 2004, Alteños de la Sierra was already charging 20,000 pesos per hour. That's around $2,000 in the United States. That's pretty good money around that time. Darey was a hustler. He would go from event to event to get his money. He wasn't just an artist, he was a builder. But he made a huge mistake that a lot of young artists make. He never registered the name Alteños de la Sierra, and that single detail cost him everything later on. He didn't know then, but Alteños de la Sierra was cursed. Alteños de la Sierra had a tragic end when they went to Chihuahua. They were invited to Chihuahua to a concert. After a concert, they were on the road. Those deserted roads that are empty and you don't see a car coming. He says that while they were on the road, multiple cars intercepted them. At first, it felt like a robbery because they were playing it like a robbery. Still terrifying, but he says he thought he was gonna survive. Then the attackers started saying names and pointed at him. And that's when he knew everything was bad. This was an intentional attack. They pulled him out of the vehicle and shot him in the ground. 4 bullets, 2 in the back, 1 in the knee, and 1 in the wrist. Everyone else on the bus was unalive, except for another person that says he had to use somebody else's body as a shield. That exact moment would be the end for a lot of people, physically, mentally, and spiritually. But Darey, he's different. He doesn't let things bring him down. He's just a different kind of guy. Darey says that when he got shot, his entire life flashed before his eyes. His childhood, the memories, everything. He also says that after he got shot, he felt something hit his head, so he thought he was dead. He stopped forcing it. He stopped moving. He even let his body go. Later, he found out it was a rock that was thrown at him to see if he was still alive. He claims that when he felt the rock hit him in the head, he thought he was dead, obviously, so he stopped moving. But after a couple of minutes, he heard some trucks drive away, and that's when he realized he was alive. Darey manages to get up. He sees that another person managed to survive with him, and they go on the road and ask for help. Eventually, they get help and clear out the area. Darey earns my respect because he doesn't turn this into a victim story like a lot of people would do. He doesn't sell the pain. He doesn't milk sympathy. He kept it moving. Matter of fact, I did not even know that he suffered an attack until a couple of months ago when I seen this podcast. Just insane. Darey Castro says he went to therapy only once. It did not feel like it helped him, and instead, he turned to the only thing that ever made sense to him: music. At the time, he admits he used to do cocaine, but after the attack, he stopped completely. Not slowly, but eventually. That shows discipline. That shows clarity. However, his mental health was not okay. He admits his thoughts were scattered, drifting, and unstable. And still, 2 months after getting shot, he released an album. 2 months. That's not ambition. That's survival. Because when you come from a place where Darey is from, you have to survive no matter what. And you have to keep it pushing. When you come from Mexico, it's not the same like when you're born in a hood of the United States. Because in the United States, one day or another you'll have Section 8, you'll have help from the government. Mexico, you're on your own. You're here to survive, and you're here to make it off the ground. Darey Castro releases his last album for Alteños de la Sierra without realizing that Alteños de la Sierra, the name was gone. So he produces his album. He makes a good song that I really like called Buscándola. And then he realizes that Alteños de la Sierra is gone. Everything he built was erased. Imagine surviving death just to lose your identity. After he finds this out, he leaves Sonora and moves to Mexico City with a little bit of money that he had saved up. He had no safety, no comfort, no guaranteed that the move was even going to be a successful one, let alone good for him. When he is in Mexico City, Mingo Chavez approaches him. They create a new name, Dareyes de la Sierra. Not a rebrand, but a resurrection. This is around 2006. Darey often talks about the power of words, and his life backs it up. He tells a story about staying in motels so he could smoke weed after the shows. One night, he walks outside and sees cameras, fans, and chaos. And instead of feeling proud of himself, he gets an anxiety attack. He panics. He runs back inside and wishes for the fame to go away. He prays to God for the fame to go away. Soon after, everything collapses. He has his attack in Chihuahua and the group disappears. Years later, he wishes for success again, but this time with humility, focus, and gratitude, and he comes back stronger. That's not coincidence. That's awareness. That's the power of the tongue. After he made Dareyes de la Sierra, he starts recording music that cements him. He makes Adiós Amor, Hasta el Día de Hoy, and Fue por tu culpa. Fue por tu culpa earns him a Grammy nomination. Before that, he gets 12 nominations at Premios Juventud. Not easy, not small. A very respectable Latin American organization. He shows up and he's confident. However, he loses. He admits that that loss hurt him and made him not want to go to those type of events. Back then, Mexican regional music was pushed aside in Miami. They were treated like background characters. And Darey says something important. He says he never imagined he'll live long enough to see Mexican music at the top, at the global stage, let alone have him living through it. However, he gets nominated in 2008 for a Billboard Award. He does not go and he ends up winning it. So after making those hits, Darey de la Sierra goes into the shadows. They stop producing as many hits around those times. In 2017, he signs with Jaime Nodal, Cristian Nodal's father. It does not work out. Darey leaves because he says he wasn't allowed to work freely, and that matters a lot for him. They made him record an album and then released him without making him pay or nothing like that. He was good friends with the label owner. Darey de la Sierra was always about cowboy music, boots, tubas, and norteño. But this is where his greatness really shows. He adapts without losing himself or without forcing it. He sees the industry change and says, I'm not fighting the future, I'm going with it. In 2022, he releases Malarrachas with Luis R. Conriquez, and just like that, he was back on the top. Not because he was a meme or something brought back as nostalgia, but because he was a current force. He credits Gabito for the song becoming popular on TikTok and recognizes the power of the internet, another sign of wisdom and not ego. He ends up signing with George Prahin of Prahin Music, and Prahin Music gives him the push that he always needed. Darey Castro says that he helped discover Xavi and worked with him on Poco a Poco, a song they have together. He says Xavi was being blocked and now the same people want a song with him. Darey gets mad about it. He says that it's not emotions, it's always business here. So you can say Darey Castro helped Xavi break through the blacklist. When Darey joins George Prahin, he also connects with Peso Pluma. He says the moment he met Peso, he knew he was different. He had a different mindset, a different confidence. He recounts a story where he says he was driving around with Peso through Malibu, and Peso was pointing at houses saying, I'm going to buy one like that. Before the fame, the mentality was already there. Darey believes that Peso Pluma is one of the main reasons Mexican music became globally mainstream. They also recorded El Escocés, but it was never released due to YouTube issues that they had. And even though that song with Peso Pluma was never released, he has made several songs with them and other mainstream artists from Mexico right now. Darey Castro has helped create environments where hits are made. He helped bridge generations. He survived death. He rebuilt identity, adapted without selling his soul. He stayed relevant while younger artists grew up listening to him. And that's not normal. And that's legendary status. Today, Darey looks at the studios, the budgets, the reach, and the opportunity that didn't even exist for the top artists back then, and he is amazed. And instead of bitterness, he feels pride because he knows he was a part of building all of this. So when we talk about Darey Castro, we're not talking about a past artist. We're talking about a living pillar, someone who earned respect through survival, evolution, and consistency. That's why he's still here. That's why he's still relevant. And that's why he's one of the greatest artists of the Mexican music. Today, in 2026, Darey Castro is a whole different person. He has proved himself over time and has had a career for almost 30 years. His new album, Redención, showed huge success and showed everyone that he can adapt and that he's here to stay. In this album, he worked with the biggest artists in the music industry in Mexico. He worked with Tito WP, Peso Pluma, Luis R., Gabito Ballesteros, and a lot more. And he also made 3 viral songs in this album: Vita Fer with Tito WP, Supreme with Peso Pluma, and Boneless with Neton Vega. Back in the day, he might have struggled to book a show, but now those days are long gone. Nowadays, he sits with 16 million listeners on Spotify and almost 30 million listeners on YouTube Music per month. And he also somehow has a strategy to get younger throughout the years.